Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. This week, once again, happily sponsored by NordPass, which is really proving to be worth the money lately. More on that in a moment. As always, you can get a 2-year NordPass premium plan plus an additional 1 month for free, all risk-free with NordPass's 30-day money-back guarantee. Just head on over to nordpass.com/jingles and use code JINGLES at the checkout in order to get this deal. And while we're on the subject, a funny thing happened a couple of weeks ago. And when I say funny, I don't mean funny ha-ha. So, it may surprise you to learn that I still have Fallout 4 installed on this PC because I mod it heavily until it barely resembles the base game. And I get most of those mods from an excellent website called nexusmods.com, which supplies a lot of modifications, not just for Fallout 4, but for a huge selection of other games as well. So imagine my surprise a couple of weeks back when I received a notification that Nexus Mods had been breached and a lot of people, including my login credentials, had been leaked. Because I didn't receive this notification from Nexus Mods, I'm still waiting for Nexus Mods to own up to the fact that they got breached. I got this notification from NordPass's data breach scanner, which monitors the dark web and let me know that my personal details had popped up. Now you might be thinking, and this is certainly a valid point, what's the big deal, Jingles? So somebody's going to be able to log into Nexus Mods and download Fallout 4 mods in your name. I don't see the problem. And yeah, if that's all it was, that really isn't going to be a big deal to anybody. But here's the thing. The reason people target websites like nexusmods.com instead of amazon.com is because it's a lot easier to breach nexusmods.com. And if I've got the same email address and password on nexusmods.com as I have on amazon.com, or in my case amazon.co.uk, then anybody who's bought the data that got hacked from Nexus Mods now has access to my Amazon account. And let's be honest here, if you're not using a password manager like NordPass, I'm pretty sure most of us, because I was certainly guilty of this for far too long, are reusing the same logins and passwords on most of the websites that we frequent on a daily basis. Because realistically, nobody's going to be able to memorize 50 different unique logins for 50 different websites. But that's why I use NordPass, because when a website gets breached, I don't have to rely on the website admins coming clean and letting me know about it, and even if they don't, I'm still safe because NordPass generates unique logins and passwords for every website that I use on a daily basis anyway. And if that sounds like the kind of peace of mind that you'd be interested in, then I am entirely happy to recommend NordPass to you as well. I have had no regrets in the nearly 2 years now, I think, that I've been using it. Just head over to nordpass.com/jingles and use code JINGLES at the checkout. Actually, you know what? Well, related subject. Here's something interesting that I learned, I think it was on Instagram this week. This is also to do with internet security, and it's really cool, and it doesn't cost you anything. So let's say, just for example, your email address is joeblogs@gmail.com. Yeah? And you want to sign up for a new web service. Let's say a Facebook account, just for the sake of argument. So if you, when you register that Facebook account, or whatever it is that you're registering for, you have to provide an email address. So if your email address is joeblogs@gmail.com, if instead you provide the email address joeblogs plus, and then the name of whatever service it is you're signing up for, in this case Facebook, so joeblogs plus Facebook@gmail.com, it will accept that as a valid email address, and it will send any emails to your joeblogs@gmail.com address, but it will look, when you're reading those emails, like they've been addressed to joeblogs plus Facebook@gmail.com. And you can do that plus, and the name of whatever website you're signing up for, with anything. And it will work the same way. And here's why it's useful. Because when you've logged into your Gmail account and you're looking at all of your emails, if you suddenly start getting a lot of spam addressed to, in this case, because we're using it as an example, joeblogs plus Facebook@gmail.com, then you know that either Facebook has been hacked or they're selling your data. How cool is that? Occasionally, when I'm browsing videos of cute cats and dogs, I do actually come across something moderately useful on Instagram. Happy to share it. Hope you find it useful. Also, while we're on the subject, have you noticed how complicated shopping and giving money to charity has suddenly become over the course of the last couple of years? I mean, it used to be really simple. You'd wander along the high street, there'd be somebody gathering for charity, you'd give them some money, and that was it, you were done. Or, if you wanted to buy a shirt, you'd go to a shop that sold shirts, pick the one that you wanted, give them some money, and you were done. But it's just not that simple anymore. A couple of years ago, I was wandering through the shopping centre at Fareham in Hampshire, and there was somebody collecting for a charity. I don't know what charity it was. Might have been Save the Children, might have been something completely different. Not important. The point is, I was entirely happy to give them some money because it was a worthwhile charity. But it was... how can I put this? It's no longer just as simple as saying, here's some money, and then going about your business. There were forms that I had to fill in. I had to provide my phone number and my email address. And why do you need my phone number and email address in order for me to give you money? And what's this? Direct debit instructions? Hang on a minute. I'm Minuten bitter. I can't just give you 20 quid and go on my way. No, sir, you can't. That's so 1980s. So, why do you need my phone number? Why do you need my email address? Okay, the direct debit bit I understand, even if I don't like it. I mean, I want to give you 20 quid now and then get on with my shopping. I don't want to give you 20 quid every month from now until the end of time. I mean, no, but I understand why you're asking for direct debit and bank details, but phone numbers and email addresses? I've never needed to provide a phone number and email address in order to give somebody money. Well, not until recently. When I say recently, I mean the last 5 years or so, and now it's really, really difficult to give anybody money for anything without also being required to provide a phone number and email address. Yeah. Why? Well, obviously so they can spam your phone and your email with advertising and offers and put you on mailing lists and phone calling lists and all kinds of shit that you don't want. But nobody ever stops to ask, why has this suddenly become an integral part of the transaction? It never used to be. You used to be able to just give people money for services and that was it. But no, now you have to give away all of your personal information as well. And it must be the case that most people are entirely happy to just do it. I mean, I'll give you another example. A couple of years back, I'm over at the Gunwharf Shopping Centre in Portsmouth, also in Hampshire. And I needed to buy a dress shirt for some occasion. Something nice was happening. I needed a good shirt. So I think I was in the Ralph Lauren retail outlet. I wanted a decent shirt. I thought Ralph Lauren will probably sell decent shirts. And there was a nice shirt in there and it fit. So I took it to the counter. I said, I'd like to buy this shirt, please. Certainly, sir. What's your phone number and email address? Just fill out this form. I'm like, whoa, 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 hang on a minute. I'm buying a shirt. I'm not investing in the store. Just sell me the shirt. And the poor girl behind the counter, I mean, it obviously wasn't her fault. These were her instructions. She couldn't sell me the shirt unless I provided a phone number and email address. I mean, really? Well, I ended up buying a shirt elsewhere because screw that. The only reason they need this personal information is so that they can use your data for direct marketing. And I don't want direct marketing, I just want a bloody shirt. It never used to be this complicated to buy a shirt. So I just, thanked her for her time and left. And bought a shirt somewhere that didn't require that I give away all of my personal details in order to enjoy the process of paying for something. Am I just being really old? Are people just... they don't see the problem in just giving away personal details to anybody on the other side of a shop counter who happens to ask for them? It's the same in supermarkets and has been for quite some time now. I think in the 1980s, store cards started becoming a thing, where you could get a special offer if you accumulated enough points by spending enough money at the same store. And I used to have one of these store cards many, many years ago. And, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Or if I continue doing my weekly shop at the Fareham branch of Asda, maybe 6 months from now I'll have saved up enough store points to get 30 pence off the price of a loaf of bread. But what happens is every time you go through the checkout at that supermarket and you present your store card, that store card is your store card. It's tagged to you, which means the supermarket knows exactly what you spend your money on every time you present the store card at the checkout. And associated with that store card is your phone number, your postal address, and your email address. And so the store can now target you with personalized direct marketing because you're providing them with a log every time you go to the store of what your shopping habits are, the kind of things you like to buy, so they can target you with directed advertising, and they will sell that information to their advertising partners as well. And this is why you get spam telephone calls, advertising and emails. And it's also why I do not, because I don't give that kind of personal information away to anybody just because they happen to be on the other side of the counter in a shop that I frequent. I don't get spam telephone calls, I don't get spam emails, I get no targeted advertising. It's fantastic. Admittedly, there's nothing I can do about the kebab and pizza shops that pay somebody to go around dropping menus through my letterbox, but other than that, I don't get any spam mail either, which is pretty impressive in this day and age, because I don't go around giving away personal details to spammers. You see how that works? When you stop to think about it, it's actually quite simple. Well, it's not 100% true that I don't get any spam telephone calls. I very, very rarely get spam telephone calls. Every 2, maybe 3 months, I'll get one. And it's usually from somebody who's heard that I was involved in a car accident that might not have been my fault. And, well, you know, given that I don't have a car and I don't even have a driving license, I guarantee you if I ever get involved in a car accident, it will 100% be my fault. But they're easy enough to deal with. You just report them, block them, and move on. But it's surprisingly easy to live a hassle and spam-free existence. Just don't give your details away to spammers. I mean, seriously, stop and think about this for a moment. Who needs your telephone number and email address? Your doctor, your bank, your friends and family. And that's it. And I've even had to block some of my family in the past. You know, until they get the hint that it's not acceptable that the only time they ever phone me is 3 o'clock in the morning when they're drunk and feeling sorry for themselves. But that's it. Doctor, bank, friends and family. Well, select members of your friends and family. And maybe your boss, your employer, needs your phone number. That's fair enough. But they don't need your email address. All it takes is a little bit of self-discipline and common sense. I mean, that girl who works behind the checkout of the 4th aisle in the supermarket might be drop-dead gorgeous, but she is not your bank, she's not your boss, she's not your doctor, and she's, despite your best efforts, not a friend or a member of your family. She doesn't need your phone number and email address. Give it a shot. Try it. Just stop giving information away to people who don't need it. I can go weeks without having a letter put through my mailbox. It's amazing. As long as I'm not ordering anything from Amazon, there's no activity on my mailbox. Of course, the downside is that anytime there is any activity in my mailbox, it's usually somebody who I owe money to. So, yeah, I can remember decades ago going to check the mail in the morning used to be a source of joy and wonder. Oh, I wonder who there'll be a letter from today. Now it's just a question of, oh God, I hope there's nothing there. Oh yeah, right, who do I owe money to? So there is that downside. But hey, you can't have everything. That's just the price that I am prepared to pay for a little bit of privacy in my life. Actually, you know what, also on the same subject, speaking of how society's changed over the last 20, 30 years, can anybody remember back far enough to the days when having somebody knock on your front door was not a cause for alarm, concern, and fear? Can anybody remember when you used to get excited when somebody knocked on your front door? It was like, oh, a visitor, quick, get the good cutlery out. Where's the cake? Alright, I exaggerate slightly, but that's what it used to be like. These days I hear somebody knock at the door and I'm not expecting a parcel from Amazon. I'm like, who's that? Was that your computer? No, you're playing Battlefield. It wasn't mine. I've got... Are you expecting anybody? I'm not expecting anybody. Who is it? Can you see them through the window? No, I'm not doing it, you do it. Just peek through the curtain, but slowly, don't let them see the movement, you know. Oh shit, he saw you. Get down, get down, get down. Just stay still. Don't move. They'll go away. Times have changed, and not always for the better. Speaking of stuff that's changing, and not always for the better, I will finally get off this subject. Back to World of Warships. So I was singing their praises last week for bringing back operations, the way they said they would a year ago. And not just putting the old operations back in, but completely revamping and making it much more accessible for the whole operations game mode in general. So well done, wargaming. But it was never going to last, was it? Don't worry, don't panic. They're not messing around with operations. They're going back on the deal, at least not that I'm aware of. No, this is something entirely different. We're back onto the subject of aircraft carriers. So, you know how wargaming just doesn't really have a very high opinion of the intelligence of aircraft carrier players? And I'm being serious, because I have actually heard this straight from the mouth, like face to face, with one of the developers. The reason aircraft carriers have automatic consumables is because wargaming think that having an aircraft carrier manage things like his repairs and his damage control is just too complicated. They don't think that an aircraft carrier player, I'm not making this up, they don't think an aircraft carrier player is intelligent enough to be able to tell the difference between his ships and his aircraft's consumables. Meanwhile, you've got ships like the USS Worcester, the American Tier 10 light cruiser, and Worcester players have to manage something like 7 different consumables because they've basically got everything, and that's fine, but not for aircraft carriers, oh no. And now that they're in the process of trying to shoehorn submarines into the game, it turns out that submarines are actually pretty effective at killing aircraft carriers. It's not that difficult, and people have been doing this because everybody loves carriers so much. Submarine players have been just basically ignoring the rest of the enemy team, staying undetected, heading to the opposite end of the map, finding the carrier and sinking it. Well, wargaming can't have that, can they? No, they can't have their precious aircraft carriers having to actually think about what they're doing. So now aircraft carriers, in addition to all of the other automatic consumables, are getting automatic anti-submarine warfare consumables. So carriers don't even have to think about defending themselves against submarines either. You know, submarines are not the most popular class in World of Warships, and for good reason. I mean, they're kind of a one-trick pony as far as the gameplay is concerned, and once the novelty's worn off, they're kind of boring to play. And while they're not popular, nobody really likes submarines on the team, but at least nobody hates them. Right? Submarine players will always have that. Yeah, sure, nobody likes us very much, but hey, at least we're not aircraft carriers. And finally, I think we're going to finish up with a quick update on the home front situation at Fort Jingles. So, I'm sure many of you are probably aware that Rita has moved into Fort Jingles. It's been a couple of weeks now. She's almost completely moved in. She's getting herself settled in. And it's nice to have her around. She's a good friend. And it means that we don't have to worry about going somewhere and trying to find somebody to take care of our cats. So she can go to her tank shows and I can look after her cat. And I can maybe go and visit friends in the Midlands or whatever, and she can take care of my cats, so it's all good. I'd forgotten what it was like living with a woman, though. She's moved pretty much all of her stuff in now, and that means she has filled up the bathroom with all of her lotions and potions. It's ridiculous how much stuff a woman needs in the bathroom. I mean, for years, I've had shower gel, soap, toothpaste, toothbrush. That's it. I don't even need a comb, right? I don't need hair care products because I don't have any hair. So I guess I'm kind of cheating, but that's basically it. Soap, shower gel, toothpaste, toothbrush. So I have 2 bathrooms in this house. There's a ensuite bathroom in the master bedroom where I sleep, and then there's the main bathroom with the bath and the sink and the shower cubicle and so on and so on. And that's Rita's bathroom. And I made the mistake of going in there the other day. I mean, you know, there was nothing malicious in it. It's just, it's the closest bathroom to the man cave where I'm recording. And if I need to top up my water bottle, that's the closest sink. And it now looks like there's been an explosion in a chemical factory. The amount of lotions and potions in there is just ridiculous. It doesn't even look like a bathroom anymore. It looks like a chemistry lab in a set of a Bond villain's lair. I keep expecting every time I go in there, there's going to be a guy in a white lab coat with a clipboard saying, "What are you doing in here? This is a restricted area." You know, it's women, what is going on? Why do you need all this shit? Well, I suppose ladies are entitled to maintain an air of mystery. And it just turns out that that air of mystery is maintained by the generous and lavish application of tons and tons of toxic chemicals. Yeah, you can tell I'm not married, can't you? I probably never will be. Anyway, on that bombshell, I am going to get so much shit for this when she sees Mingles with Jingles on Monday. But on that bombshell, that is it for this week's episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. And as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.